Hey guys, Brassfax here. 2 years ago, myself and Hop did a laser ranking tier list. It was a stark reminder of, at the time, the bleak state of the laser aiming market. With the loophole allowed by V-cell illuminators, which can kind of bypass full power FDA restrictions and still be civilian legal, plus a ton of new actors, the entire tier list has been shaken up. So I'd say a new tier list is in order. In 2026, we can be very picky, so for a baseline expectation, we're going to assume Illuminator performance, which is once again the reason why we typically buy these, will at least be 30 to 40 milliwatts at the minimum. The actual laser performance, both IR and visible, will be standard at civilian legal levels, so sub 5 milliwatts. So units that exceed this will be considered, air quotes, full power, and will get bonus points and consideration, but we won't consider full power lasers mandatory. Price will be a factor, but it's not the only factor. So on paper, the best laser doesn't get an instant S tier, it must actually justify the increase in price, but a huge price tag doesn't necessarily disqualify that laser from a good ranking. Chances are, with exception of two lasers, which we will denote, between myself and Hop, every laser on this list has at minimum, I'd say, 10 to 15 range trips, with many more pushing 30 plus. So while this is not a definitive tier list by any means, I'd say it's about as close as we can get. If you want more specifics on any one of these units, do a search on our channels. Good chance we've done a review on the device. A notable thing we left out of this tier list in a vain attempt to keep it somewhat short is the exclusion of 4-in-1 units. That is, a base unit that also has a flashlight built in, like the IRIS 4. 4-in-1 units are generally all strictly worse than just pairing a basic laser aiming module with a regular white light, and as such don't really fit well into this tier list, as they would all technically be near the bottom, though in some occasions you do want a 4-in-1, and in that case they would, right, it gets confusing. So if you are after a 4-in-1, just view it as roughly on the same tier as the base unit that it was based off of. Not to blue ball you any further, I want to point out myself and Hop have different opinions on lasers and what is good and bad. I personally value ergonomics a lot more than he does. I'm willing to deal with a larger, heavier device if I have the features I want. I want to swap from low power to high power and to back again. I'm using the programming features on an OGL or the pattern generator to reduce my splash on target. I'm constantly adjusting my iris divergence to optimize light on target, blah 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 blah. I'm not saying Hop doesn't value this, he absolutely does, but he values simplicity and package size far more. He will generally set up a lamp on a rifle, set the brightness and power level at the start of the night, and then will not touch any of those buttons until it's time to head home. So keep that in mind. Both approaches aren't wrong, just different, but I control the mouse, so there is some bias here. This video was made possible by VentureSur Plus. This is a plastic USGI 1-quart canteen. I prefer these over the metal variants, which are hit or miss if they actually hold water or leak all over the place. And I like it over the classic Nalgene's, as they tend to conform to bags a little better. They're also way cooler looking. Cool trick you can do with these. Grab the metal canteen cup that is specifically designed to nest, though most circular cups will fit a basic Nalgene and work in a similar fashion, and put it in something like your side pouch. Plastic on metal still gives enough friction to prevent them from going off flying, but it also keeps the pouch from collapsing in on itself after you remove the bottle, allowing for one-handed removal and reinserts, which lets you keep the pack on instead of pulling the whole thing off and trying to wedge it back in every single time. Thanks for supporting the channel, VentureSur Plus, and thank you for watching the ad. Back to the video. Okay, cool. Let's get started. I'll start us off with the full power gray market. This is where it all kind of started, right?
This is what used to be your option. Before anybody even thought about making civilian legal lasers, they were like, yeah, who cares? You're going to have to get some
we generally
down.
have a price tag from about $1,500 to about $2,500, although it's come down a fair bit. Performance-wise, these are really good in terms of, full power performance. We get our full power laser, we get our full power illuminator, but outside of that, they're kind of yucky in the sense that their downrange performance is, we talk about the Petri dish. That generally isn't referring to the shape. It's referring to the fact that it's utterly contaminated with bullshit. So yeah, they don't look very good. And then they have just a horrible disqualifying effect in the sense that you can't actually send these to the original manufacturer to get repaired. Now, there are certain, cottage industries cropping up that can repair some of these full power gray market devices, but wow, in 2026, these look a lot less appealing, don't they?
Yeah, I don't know. If you really want a nice, fresh, delicious one, you're going to pay more for it, and it's still going to have all the same problems of like it's a ticking time bomb where you're running out the clock to when you clonk it against some door, and you're like, oh, that was $2,000.
I'll say it. I'll say these are F tier. It does not make sense to go out and buy one of these anymore. Not with the options on the market.
I agree.
I wanted to find the high power. Oh god,
where I sorted these things into a completely disastrous pile.
It's my pile of lasers, okay, buddy?
It's my laser pile. You're the meme of the guy's like, I can't hold all my lasers.
M6TR V. So these are about $1,000, though. Frankly, you can get these on Alibaba, which, as far as I can tell, is probably just the same source, just selling it on Alibaba or eBay for about $600.
So the VCSEL based version has the advantage of being able to accept the white light head to turn it into a quad function. Unfortunately, they didn't implement it as well as I'd like. And it's the tiniest weird little problem where when you hit the fire button on Viz for the first time in a while,
it has to charge up. It has like a little flux capacitor mode.
It's got to boot up. There's a 1-2, and then like there's a 2-second delay, and then the laser or the white light, it doesn't just turn on, it like ramps up. So it's a delay followed by a ramp up, and then you're fine. And as long as you keep using it for a while, and these are like nebulous terms because I honestly don't know. If you keep using it, it's fine. It's fine, if you let it sit for a bit or you turn it off for a while, then it's screwed up again.
This would be in a B tier as a 4-in-1, but the Holosun IRIS 4 exists, so it's a C or a D tier.
It is a pretty good
laser. How about that? Low C.
Yeah, C. The problem is that it's not any cheaper. Like this is absolutely a less robust or a less, it's not as mature as the Holosun product, but it does cost the same.
Now the M6TR regular variant, which is a full power laser, I will consider it a B tier. It is currently probably potentially in a lot of ways the most robust way to get a full power laser right now, which is something people want, and I can understand it given urban environments is something that you need to consider, leading targets, extreme range, piggybacking it off of a gun. I think this is probably one of the better ways to get a full, like a very solid full power laser, not illuminator, laser in the current market. So I would consider it B tier. What do you think?
Yeah, I think that's fair. It's, again, same price as a Holosun with less pedigree, with less quality, with a company that doesn't quite know what it's doing the same way that Holosun does, but they're also willing to give you unrestricted laser and illuminator, and everything. And like in my experience, having used a couple of these things, they seem to work very well. They don't seem to have the problems that older, cheaper lasers had. So it is a good performer.
What you drinking tonight?
Well, I'm back in the land of no Youngling flight, so I'm back to Bush Lights. So
sorry, what were you saying?
Oh, beautiful. Well, also it is as we're recording this, it is St. Paddy's Day, so I am a couple Irish car bombs deep, or car bombs. I don't think you're supposed to, or Irish. What are you supposed to call them? It's not insensitive. I don't really care about being insensitive to the Irish or the British because I don't like either of them that much. CTF3. So Phantom Hill made the CTF1 and CTF2. Went out of business. Design was purchased by a new company, CTF Photonics, and they decided to just sort of smooth off some of the rough edges of the CTF2 and create the CTF3. So a center line IR designator, and then you've got two Scout compatible heads. So you could put a white light head on one side and then a Surefire Vampire on the other side, or you could put an Arisaka IR only head on the other side, or you could put a BE Myers Kiji on the other side. So when we talk about this thing, like the performance could be almost anything. The price point could be almost anything. It could be under $1,000. It could be $1,500 because, you might be putting a very expensive head on this thing.
I would argue the best configuration nowadays would probably be something like a Mod Light Havoc head, which is their Chinese variant of their OKWs, and then probably a Zbolt LED head.
This has never been, according to, Phantom Hill and CTF, like this has never been intended to be the, MAWL killer or whatever. It's supposed to be kind of a niche device that you use because it's low profile, it's less expensive, so it fits under, a scope. I think it's earning the C position now because it used to be that the market was so shitty that you might want to try to flex this into a B tier laser, but now this is what it was always born to be, which is your second laser.
This one's easy. The Somogear NGAL, and honestly, all Somogear products in general. Once again, I think these used to be much higher on the list. They are just bad now. There are better options across the board in terms of pricing, in terms of performance. They're very difficult to get R-made. So they're essentially sort of acting like a gray market laser. They are full power, but they break incredibly readily. My group bought a shitload of PEC 15s. I broke the NGAL twice. I think these are strictly worse or just bad. Your call.
Airsoft. Yeah. F.
All right. SMS Trinity, 350 doll hairs. Very feature rich, right? We have power adjustments to adjust the power level on the thing. We have a quick flip diffuser, so we can go from a sort of narrow beam to a flood beam. We have easy accessible mode selector, easy accessible fire button, and a iris style sort of slider. Though the slider does have some issues in terms of implementation, it still exists, and most importantly, it comes in at $350. I've run 2 of these to middle of the road success. They hold 0, but you occasionally need to reconfirm your 0. Luke ran one at Moons Out and tossed that motherfucker around, and it mostly held 0, more or less. We're talking, 2 MOA, 0 loss at 100 yards, which is not horrific given modern AR-15 handguards, which are, partially complicit. This is why stuff like the Somogear is just irrelevant nowadays, right?
Yeah. So with the Trinity, I'm struggling to trust it, but let me just assume that it works and it holds 0. Let me just assume that the quality is all there. The feature set and layout of this thing is damn impressive, considering that like a month and a half ago, SMS Laser had no idea what they were doing. Like, this is a company that came out of nowhere. They made some incredibly toy grade bullshit. And then in the span of a couple product revisions, they were making this, which is, again, quality. Let's toss quality out of the window. This is one of the best lasers you can get right now.
Here, let's throw that in real quick. So this is the product they used to make. This doesn't hold 0. This is absolute. This is not like kind of not waterproof. You put it in a bucket and you see bubbles come out, and you pull it out and the lens is full of water. This is a very feature-rich laser. It's not a good laser. So to me, this is
the layout D or F. I mean, it is. That one to me was toy grade. Like, people wanted me to review it. I bought one. I took it out of the box and I looked at it. I was like, I'm not going to put this on a gun. Like, it's just a waste of my time. I put it on my belt fed and it lasted 500 rounds. Right, just the trip where we reviewed the 6.8, and it was off by feet. Yeah.
I would say with how it's been treated, with the 2 that I have, then the one at Luke's match, Despop's one, all Farmar Ranch's one, they all seem to have not catastrophic 0 loss, but also one of the worst, wandering zeros that you can potentially have. I think it's a very strong C tier. Yeah. Let's see. Do you want to get the OGLs out of the way? Yeah, the OGLs are peak. Why is one bigger than the other?
Because it's not civilian legal. I don't know.
Okay, so we have 2 OGLs. We'll put them. We'll get them to the closest to the A tier they'll ever be. There's the OGL full power, which is your standard military style laser, full power illuminator, and you got your Civ, which is VCell. Actually, they're both VCell, but VCell illuminator, weak piss sub 5 milliwatt laser. They have a very modern feature set, right? We have a slider to adjust our divergence. We have the ability to adjust our full power laser on the full power version. Personally, we have some issues with the laser, but if we put that aside, what do you think? Civilian first.
First of all, price no object, pretty good. Like, I like the layout and the performance and everything. There's also the fact that this does have split illuminators on either side of a front sight base. This is compatible with front sight base. That's probably something they did for the military, because it's like, this is a laser you could throw on a fucking M4 and it would be fine. So that's a feature some people like. Don't know why. Don't care why. It's not important to me. So the fact that it exists and that the civilians can buy it is kind of cool if you really, really want this laser. But after multiple years of delay and after multiple price increases, I think it's not worth it. Even if it performs like you want and it handles like you want and it fits the gun you want, I just don't see it anymore. And I don't even care if it's made in South Korea or if it's assembled in America out of South Korean parts. That's not even as important as just the fact that, like, this is an expensive laser that you could replicate the performance of this with another laser. That's what I think. So
D, right? Strictly worse. It's worse than other options on the market, and it costs more for the civilian, right?
pretty much, yeah.
I would agree with that.
The performance is fine, but it's not groundbreaking anymore. Like, the market has changed,
And it's
you
expensive.
have to be better than that, and it's expensive, and yeah, there's some suspicious stuff going on.
You want a hot take for the full power version?
Absolutely.
I think it's a B tier.
That's fine.
Let me explain. It's a full power laser, so of the options on the market, there are actually not that many full power lasers. It's one of the few you can still actually buy. Like, distributors will sell you this thing. Like, they don't give a shit. You can buy them.
If you've got law enforcement credentials or you're a military purchaser.
No, there's been a couple of cases where they're like, we'll just sell this to you.
I explained this poorly, so let me just redub over this part. So the OGL full power variant can, in certain circumstances, be bought legitimately as a civilian with no credentials from certain distributors. They just sold them to you. They didn't care. But more importantly, however, because all of the OGLs currently on the market, specifically the secondhand market, are acquired through legitimate means, aka not stolen out of a military armory, EOTech will, they'll warranty it. They don't care, right? It's not an illegal one. That is in contrast to all the full power gray market lasers, which very much had this experience. So when L3 checks, the serial number, they're like, oh, this came out of a military armory. Thank you for returning government property. That's not the case with the OGL, presenting a far more compelling reason to own the full power variant.
On top of that, we have the ability to run high, so full power illuminator, full power infrared laser. We have the ability to program it to be low laser, high illuminator, which is a feature set that is very rare right now, while also having that on a laser. We can run it, my favorite version, on high, and then where we're like, oh my god, my laser is blooming, just flick your wrist and flip the diffuser cap, the pattern generator over and get low on the laser, high on the illuminator. And then if our illuminator is too much, we hit the diffuser and then we diffuse it even more. I actually think this is, if you care about full power laser performance and your price is no object, this is actually not that bad. Yeah. Okay. Let's get one that's over quick. XVL2. This is the Surefire handgun thing. It can go in sub guns. You can maybe buy them for $1,200. They're about $1,500 MSRP. They got a really pissed light. They got a very floody illuminator, which we do care about, right? That's a big part of why we want these things. It's got a laser. It's got dog shit ergonomics. It's incredibly expensive. I would say it's just bad, dude.
Substantially not that different from a laser you could get for $250 to $300 on sale. So yeah, I think the XVL2 IRC, a very poor choice.
And they apparently break incredibly readily.
Yeah, asking too much of it, I think.
All right, let's keep the speed run going with a very similar conceptual laser. It's the it's basically the same laser, right? It's a X400V. So same exact concept. It's got IR, flood, white light, and a IR laser. It does not have a Viz, if I remember correctly.
That's correct.
These are about $800. I think they're almost discontinued now, or very hard to get. I think conceptually this laser is very good. In practice, this thing sucks some pretty large asshole. Because there's a little dongle at the bottom here that you have to press to switch between the modes, and it is very finicky, and it tends to go into the wrong modes all the time. It does not fit into any normal holsters, and it is very expensive. I don't know. You have any thoughts on this thing?
I think an argument could be made for the X300V, which is this thing without the laser, because first of all,
and then you're going to have a red dot, right?
Yeah, you're going to have a red dot, and what you're putting this on a pistol, we hope. So you're using the IR flood illumination to aid in passive aiming, passive plus, I think we often call it, right? So the X400, I don't think so. Costs too much. You guys have had, you can't really expect, say it's a Glock, man. The zero is retained by the lock above the barrel and the slide. The frame doesn't have that much to do with the zero, and you're attaching a clamp to a plastic frame. It gets pushed around a lot in the holster. And yeah, you do have to take it off in order to take the battery out of the back end. So yeah,
and these do not return to zero. This is
just bogus.
Yep. All right, let's keep the train moving with sort of handgun-oriented lights. This is something that I used to hate a lot more, and it's slightly grown on me. And it's the Streamlight VIR2. It's a flashlight, much like the X300/X400.
in that you can modify the bezel and have either IR or visible flashlight. And this one also comes with a laser, except the laser is inside the light itself. The buttonology is a little better, and it's significantly cheaper at about $400. Same exact design, and similarly, you have to remove the whole thing to replace the battery.
Yeah, compared to the X400V, you lose a little bit of illuminator performance, but the X400V does not have great illuminator performance. It's still a big old LED flood, so who cares? So you lose a little bit of that, and what you gain is almost a 100% holster compatibility with TLR1 weapon lights, because it's almost exactly the same footprint. And you also save $400+. So the TLR VIR2 is, if you're trying to put IR capability onto a pistol, this is it. This is the one. Nothing else. Just get this. If you have a secondary firearm, like a PCC or a 22, and you're just like, I kind of want some close range IR capability so I can shoot this thing under night vision because that'd be fun, get this. Again, on sale, $330 to $300. I mean, they're pretty cheap on sale most of the time. I have one of these on a 22 AR. Like, this thing has its niche that has not been outclassed. It's still viable for that purpose.
But yeah, it's decent.
See, it's got a niche.
Yeah.
It's the choice for a pistol, and it could be a choice for like small guns or secondary guns.
It's just a bit too floody. I think the issue is a bit too floody, and yeah. This is the GL4/GL5 Pro. If we just had to talk about the last generation of GLs, at about $400 instant F tier, the QD mount does not fucking work to save their life, and it will not hold zero. Holding zero is moderately important. It doesn't matter all the crap you do. But the newer versions, finally, they gave up and they put a crossbolt in. And with the crossbolt, I think it's been majorly upgraded. It's still a pistol light at the end of the day. It's very floody. These don't really belong on rifles. They kind of belong on PDWs. They can certainly work on handguns, but this is not going into any holster you have. You have strong opinions on this one, don't you?
I do. I think this is one of the worst lasers on the market. I really detest this thing, and the people that chill it really irritate me. We did a comparison between this and a bunch of other things, and the performance it's apples to apples, man. It's the same exact fucking thing. This is a VLR or TLR VIR2. It's the same fucking thing. It's a floody LED-based pistol illuminator. It doesn't have a bigger bezel. It doesn't have more output. Like, it's the same fucking thing. But you think you're getting something else? I don't know, because it kind of looks like a Surefire, and Surefires are expensive. It really annoys the fuck out of me.
It's a good flux. It's a good flux radar laser, and that's about it.
I guess.
So for me, it's up here because it's a good flux radar thing with the crossbolt. I don't own the crossbolt.
Yeah, one. I just insist. I D or I walk, bro. All right.
Okay. You want to do this one real quick?
Yeah.
This is the other Somogear.
I'm going to dub over this because we get a little lost in the sauce here. This is the InvisibleSight NGAL clone. Maybe a couple dudes in Hong Kong. The pitch is that it's a more serious sort of attention to detail Somogear. It used to somewhat be compelling if you could get your hands on one, but nowadays the Laserspeed M6TR is just better in basically all ways. Better track record, better design, a much larger company behind it. Well, most people have had good luck. My emitter assembly has also broken, so mine is completely hosed. So it goes in the strictly worst tier. If you want a full power laser for $1,000 go ahead, get an M6TR for actually less than $1,000. Just wait for a sale. They come up fairly frequently on eBay.
Put it like this, I think.
Yeah.
You want to talk about the ACAL? You just went to Moons Out running one of the ACALs. We're 3 years too late. You just did a whole ass review. No one's watched it, so you might as well.
Nobody cared.
Yeah.
All right. So the ACAL, the idea of the ACAL is it's a Zbolt D2, which is, we'll get to this later, is performance-wise amazing, unimpeachable. You're like, this thing performs great. We love it. The problem is it's very, very heavy and it's large. So what if we could tweak it a little bit? And so that was the pitch for the ACAL. It's like it's a Zbolt D2 in performance, but it's smaller, it's lighter, maybe cheaper, depending on how the market goes or whatever. So announced in 2022, just came out a couple weeks ago. So that's about 4 years of waiting on this thing, during which time the market turned on its head. So in 2022, a slightly lighter, cheaper D-Ball D2 would have destroyed the market. I mean, it would have been revolutionary. 4 years later, you're like, oh, I'm glad this is here. Like, it's nice to have. The problem is, of course, we're not as desperate for Illuminator performance as we used to be. So price point of about $1,500, that's way more than the Laserspeeds, the Holosuns. The performance is better, but so is the weight is also heavier.
I think it can't be a general recommend because it doesn't blow it out of the park. But if you want American made without breaking the bank, B tier. And it's got the performance to back it up. I mean, it's a very simple sell, actually. Buy Holosun IRIS. Fuck Holosun. Okay, buy an OGL.
Well, here we go.
Oh, that's $3,000. Buy a MAWL. That's $3,700, bro. Here you go. Right? Like,
we're gonna pull the D2 next. There we go. There it is.
There it is. Okay,
all
so
right.
hold on. I need to make this to scale. Okay.
Yeah. Wait. Bigger. A little bigger.
Okay. Yeah.
And can you make it heavier? Is there a way to make it heavier on the screen? Is that a thing you can do? I don't know.
Okay, so the D2.
Depending on who you are and what year it is and how much money you've got, this is accurate. The D2 is on the whole scale. It could be any of these letters, dude.
All right, so I think the D2 used to be a general recommend with caveats, maybe a very strong T tier. It's D tier now. You should never buy one of these now that the ACAL exists, or really a number of these exist. No, fuck you. So it's $1,500. Do they even produce it anymore? I'm not even sure. They don't even show up half the time on the market. They're heavy as shit. They're a worse version of the ACAL. $1,700? No.
Brock, your original version of this tier list had one of these categories as saying like good if you get a deal, right?
Yeah, okay, but that category doesn't exist anymore because there are deals aplenty. You don't need a deal when you can just buy a better unit.
What if you got a D2 for $800?
If you got a D2 for $800, it'd still be C tier. That's how much the bar is shifted. I would not actually ever want a D2 on my rifle. It's not a good laser. It has visible emission downrange. It's very splashy. I don't like the D2. There's a reason I never bought the D2 despite recommending it when it was the only option. Now that there are so many other options, I don't think you should buy a D2. I don't think people appreciate the aspect of the D2.
The aspect ratio is wrong.
Okay, let's talk Wilcox Raid. This thing used to be really cool as really the only civilian legal laser you could buy that had the Illuminator performance. That was 5 years ago. Now at $3,200 with a Tamagotchi strapped to the back. You have a lot of the programming functionality of the OGL. You can make the Illuminator brighter. You can make the IR laser dimmer. For the civilian variant, what do we think?
F.
Little dated feeling, right?
I really, really hate all that programming bullshit. I don't think it's even all that necessary on the SMS Trinity, even though it doesn't cost you anything. I suspect that if you had set the laser up right from the factory, you wouldn't need to be fucking with that stuff because you would have two adequate settings that kind of covered all of your bases, which is why like a full power PEC 15 has everything you need. Don't put a fucking screen on the back. Don't put some up, down, and middle buttons in there. I don't need that. I need the fire button and the switch.
My part got kind of corrupted here, so I'll just mention it real quick. I don't necessarily agree with Hop. I like being able to change my power level on target, my divergence, all that stuff. Like with the civilian OGL, it's a really hard sell at $3,000 for performance that is functionally indistinguishable from, I don't know, a Holosun IRIS, or actually gets outperformed by something like the ACAL. If you could get a full power variant of this thing quite easily, then I'd say, yeah, go for it. For the same reason I generally like the full power OGL for a good quality made in America product, but I think it's actually quite hard to get the full power variants of this. Unlike the OGL, Wilcox is a little more picky with who can get one of these in the full power version.
I'd say D tier. Let's just move on. D tier.
Yeah. Who's doing all this shit?
It's not
bad. Fucking time
like
for this
if you
stuff.
had one of these, it's not like F tier where if you had one of these, you'd actually actively want to get rid of it. If you had one of these, you'd leave it on the gun. There's a ton of cool programming features on this thing. Okay, so let's talk the MAWL. BE Myers MAWL, $3,700 now for a C1 Plus. It is stupid fucking expensive. The big thing with the MAWL is that they brute force the design here. It's got a close divergence illuminator and a wide divergence illuminator. So you can swap from flood
like 3
to narrow instantaneously. It is not a thing that can happen. It is within the recoil cycle of your gun. You can swap between them. I think you've noticed when I've used it, like I swap like at an instinctual level between the flood and the focus. And I don't think that is something anything else can do. And that's why I really like the MAWL in current year, despite it starting to being a little bit dated and a little bit of a brute force design.
Yeah, there are other lasers that can do everything the MAWL does, but they can't do it quickly. They can't do it easily. So like for a Zbolt D2 with a diffuser cap that you have to flip over manually, or you have to spin the ring on a D2 or spin the ring on an ACAL, stuff like that. It's really hard to say, again, price no object. The MAWL is still probably clearly the best laser module that has ever been made. I think.
And we'll never get something.
It is heavy. People look at it and they say it should be lighter. And yeah, it's basically, it's like 11 and a half. It's almost a D2 level. That's it. But at least it stays out of the way. So like, yeah, it's heavy. But again, we're talking about a difference of a couple ounces between a laser that we like, you know, and this one. So
meanwhile, all our guns have suppressors on it. So
the MAWL really, really kicks ass. Every time you see somebody running one of these things at a Moons Out match, they are loving life. They're having a great time with their MAWL. So really, it just is money.
Yeah, I don't think you can ever make this an A because it's just too expensive, right? You can't just be like, hey, I need a laser, buddy. MAWL.
Yeah.
You can never say that. But you can say, hey, if you got cash, a MAWL is pretty fucking good. Yeah. So I'd say this is a solid B tier.
A Ferris Bueller quote: if you have the means, I highly recommend you pick one up.
Okay, let's do the one that everyone here. We have to go into the A tier because it's only room. Let's talk about this one's. We didn't put it in last year's tier list or 2 years ago now tier list because it's a bit jank, but it's gotten a lot better. I'll talk about the right one. You want to talk about the left one? It's a laser only device coupled with a vampire / flashlight that only emits IR. So on the right we have an OTAL. You can put whatever you want here. You can put an IRIS One. You can put a DIR-V One, whatever the fuck it's called. You can put whatever here. LS117, whatever. Yeah, it doesn't matter. Insert your oyster here with the Surefire vampire lights. Generally speaking, do not put this on a rifle. It's a bad choice for a rifle. It does not push the vampire illuminator does not push light far enough, not even close to far enough to be effective at even kind of rifle ranges. I ran one of these at multiple matches. Half the time I turn off my illuminator because it is fucking me over more than it is helping me. That being said, for a device that needs maximum smallness, and most of the time you're just going to run a laser, perhaps an urban environment PDW, if you got room, I think it's all right.
This can only be an argument if you really, really need to minimize weight and space, and the use of a dual spectrum light like a Surefire Vampire can save you just that little bit of space. And it's not even that much. You're saving 1/10 of an inch and
some
mouse,
I guess.
Bullshit. Right. And you save $20. By the end of the day, you save $20. Stop it. This is my favorite quote. It's a Hulk Hogan quote. I don't even think Hulk Hogan knew what he was saying when he said it, but he says, don't work yourself into a shoot. This is incredibly important advice. You get so focused on how can I save a little money? How can I save a little bit of space? How can I save a little bit of weight? And you go down that road to the point where you spend more money, end up with something larger and heavier. And you're like, wow, shit, I kind of worked myself into a shoot, didn't I? You tried to sneak through, or you tried to sneak this little bullshit setup under the radar, and it didn't work, and you fucked yourself. So I would recommend to anybody, do not ever do this. It's almost always a bad idea.
Objectively, this is extremely niche with a major flaw, but it's so extremely niche with a major flaw that I feel like it has to go D tier.
I can almost guarantee you every single person who says they have this setup, you could probably say there's a better setup, that you went this way because, some reason you thought this was a good idea, but objectively speaking, you were wrong. and this is a waste of money.
I have it on my APC 9K because the build is white light 99.9% repeating of the time. And every once in a while, I'll fire a laser. I already had an OTAL.
I was going to say, also, you got my OTAL for pretty cheap, didn't you?
Yeah, I got it for very cheap. Let's talk the exact same setup, but now we swap out the Vampire light for a Zbolt light, like an LED emitter, maybe their V-cell one, and you're running a second light, but we're not showing that here. So you're running two lights. It's a heavy as fuck setup. It's a bulky as fuck.
To be honest with you, I think
it might be cheap.
I think it's worse.
You think it's worse?
Because the one advantage that we had with that last setup was that you were saving weight and space by using a dual spectrum light, and now we're not doing that.
Yep.
So you are like, how can I build my own Iris 3 at home? What if I put a laser and a light together, and then I still need another light?
Yeah.
It's like maybe a couple of years ago when it was hard to put together the right laser setup, maybe there would have been some value there. Now that you can just get a four function device like an Iris 4 or a Laserspeed 4 function, absolutely not. Absolutely
okay.
Not.
Jesus Christ, the jank is off the charts here. Yep. Also, I want to point out tape switches, not cheap, and this requires a lot of tape switch. You need a sync and you need a regular.
There is one switch that you can use for this, and it is the Axon Sync, which is a $200 remote switch, and it only works on certain builds that have the right amount of rail estate.
Now I would say if you ditch the laser and you just run a dual light setup, that is cheap. It doesn't need the hold zero, and you rely on the passive solution you already have. That could be a thing, but this is not that tier list. So
yeah, I still believe in the viability of it's weight efficient, space efficient, cost efficient, Vampire plus passive.
Yeah, passive plus we call it, right?
Yeah, passive plus with a Vampire light. You could make that argument, and I would accept that argument. But if you show me one of these setups, I'm going to I'm going to hold up three fingers like the fucking guy in Inglourious Bastards. And I'll be like, well, you don't know what you're talking about.
Okay, so this is the new Iris, or not Iris. This is the new USNV. I don't even know what it's called. It looks like an HLAD, but it's not an HLAD.
It's the 3 electrons something.
You have any experience with this?
Nobody does, do they?
I think Formar Ranch has experience with it. He likes it. This is one of the lasers we have not tried. I'm throwing it off the list. You good with that?
It's called the Sentinel.
It looks cool.
It does look cool because we are conditioned to think that laser boxes look cooler than other things. The problem is we know this company, we know what they can do, and they have a cool laser, which we'll talk about in a second.
Yeah.
Which probably performs exactly the same, but is flat and light. And this one is like for people who are gun shy about weird ergonomics. They're like, oh, I don't know about that newfangled bullshit. I want a laser box. And so I think the company was compelled to make a box. I don't know why. Yeah. Don't know what the point of that is. Also completely unknown, no track record so far. So I'd say let's let it percolate for a couple years.
Do we just throw it off the screen just to give it a chance?
It's disqualified from... Yeah,
because we don't have to
even buy it yet, as far as we know.
Yeah. Okay, so speaking of US night vision, let's talk US night vision. So it's let's start with the DIR-V, the one it's pretty old now. This was one of the early reviews of the channel. This is a V-cell emitter, civilian power laser. It is very low on your rail, so you can't actually see this through a magnified optic. You definitely can't see it through a red dot. It's got a very nice ergonomic button. The design has been updated with Arasaka's clamp and the button. About $1,700 nowadays. I'd say this is a pretty damn good laser if you care about seeing your laser in your field of view.
Yeah, there's some stuff that I wish the DIR-V had. So the spot illuminator, it's only one power level. Spot illuminator, a little too bright at most ranges.
Flood, it's a little too floody as
a little too broad at most ranges. So you've got two extremes of the illuminator. It's powerful at both extremes, but in the middle, you're kind of fucked. It's not the end of the world, but it's not great. But yeah, I'd say I'd put that in C tier, kind of along with the the Phantom Hill CTF, where it's sort of like if you want a flat laser, it's light as hell. I think it's like a 5 or 6 ounce laser, so it's one of the lightest, smallest lasers. It's got adequate performance. It's just a little bit limited in application. It's pretty damn good.
And I think C tier is unfair to it in the sense that it's not extremely niche, or does it have a major flaw?
Slightly
I just
niche,
don't think it's good enough given the price tag to be B tier, but it will very much appeal to people that want that and only that. So C tier, I agree.
I think they're cool as hell. I like them, but I'm also the kind of guy when
the 1700 price really hurts.
Yeah, 1700 hurts, but like for me, when I pick up one of your rifles and I got to look at the back of your laser through the fucking lens of your scope, I'm like, this is intolerable. How does the man do this? I really, really hate that shit.
So let's say we knock off $700 down to $1,000, and we just lose the Viz laser. It's the DIR-V One.
Less than $1,000. When I got mine, I think it was $800.
That's sleeper as fuck, right?
That was my theory, that this may in fact be the best secret value in laser modules on the market.
US made.
You can, US made, is made by a dude in a garage in Washington, I think. Right. If you can put up with a couple little quirks. So the DIR-V is their flagship model. It has a mode select switch with an off. You can select laser only, illuminator only, or both, and Viz. The DIR-V One, DIR-1V, whatever we're calling it, no switch, no mode select. There's one mode. And when you hit that button, it goes illuminator laser. There's no off. So it's always hot. It's always at a risk for ND. It's always going to be draining. You know, there are some risks there, but you're saving a lot of money, and it's small and it's light, and the performance is pretty good.
It's a really good B. It's a really good B, I'd say. My only issue is that the design is a little less robust than other lasers on the market, but I'll be honest, lasers not that robust to begin with. So I'll take it. I'll throw it next to the M6TR, maybe even better than the M6TR.
I really, really like it, and now I've been using it for a while, and the parasitic drain is not that bad. That was one of the bigger concerns for me. If the laser's always hot, it's an ND risk, but that can be mitigated. And it's not that big of a risk to me because this thing is so pronounced. It's hard to accidentally hit the button on this. And yet when you want to activate it, it's easy to hit. Like they really did a damn good job.
I have one of these on my AK. I'd say this would be a very high B tier if the Iris didn't exist.
Right. Yep.
Help me out with this one. Can you knock this one out fast? So it's about $1,600, if I recall, right?
Was.
But now it's way down, right?
Now it's $1,000, I think.
Yeah.
So now it's starting to look pretty good. This is a VCSEL, illuminator laser module with a Viz laser and everything. The party trick with the Penumbra is that it has a Aimpoint T2 style base, and it has I don't know if it's RMR. It's got an optics mount on the top. So the party trick here is that you can put it on a riser and then put a red dot on top. And if you have like a really short gun or a gun with a handguard that doesn't hold zero, like some of the MCXs or whatever, something with a janky handguard, you can put together a laser module that incorporates your optic, your laser, and a riser all in one without having to bridge onto a shaky handguard, I guess. It's made in America, designed in America. And now that it's about $1,000 instead of close to $2,000, it's a lot more appealing. Still really niche though. I think this like appeal, that idea of red dot on a laser box is a weird one.
But even if you ditch that, it's still a solid unit. Like if you compare it to an M6TR V without the flashlight component, American made, $1,000.
Yeah, the niche appeal was the only thing keeping it in the running previously, but after the price drop, I think it's a little beyond niche.
I think it's a strong C or B, like high C, low B, in the sense that I'm not as confident that this company will stick around long term. But other than that, it's got the performance of a 3EIR DIR-V One. Fuck, I hate this name so much. A DIR-V One. It's a better M6TR V made in America. I fuck with it.
Yep. Yeah, mainly it's just that it's a small.
I'll let you choose C or B.
Not a lot of track record. I still think the appeal is mostly in the niche thing. I want to say it's a super high C because after the price drop, this is a pretty sick ass laser to have, you know.
I'll squeeze it in with the CTF. If it had a much better track record, I would be confident in putting it in B. All right, let's bang this one out quick. Legacy civilian power lasers. So this is
A tier.
This is
full A tier. Full A. 100% A.
What? No.
Have you priced an LS321 recently? They're like $250, dude. Yeah, in a week they will be sold out of the old models, and they're never going to sell them that cheap again. Yeah, it's all over.
It's
but
A tier.
If you're watching this on release, there is a brief window where you could probably pick up an LS321 for a secondary gun or like a sub gun or something short for just an outrageous price, like a sub $400 for a laser that, like, we put a lot of fucking mileage on these things.
Mine has like over 10,000 rounds. It's a
they work
fucking tank.
They don't perform that well, but they work. They hold zero. Josh.
Okay, this one's fun. Everyone talks about how this is the best laser ever. They're about $6,000 if you have the cool guy hookup. A legitimate, honest to God L3 NGAL. These are pretty hilarious because you can tell fakes from the real ones because the fakes have better paint jobs.
Oh, Lord.
So they're full power lasers. They don't have any really special programming over the PEC 15 other than I think you can slightly modify the laser pulse rate a little more, maybe. They have the exact same, the button's somehow in a worse spot. I don't know how that happened. It's a good bit smaller. They're powerful. You have it's a worse OGL in a lot of ways.
If I was going to be issued a laser, that's kind of what I would want. Like a PEC 15, but smaller and newer. I like the idea of that. But yeah, I mean, for us, who cares? Doesn't matter.
Okay.
Every single laser on this list, if it doesn't work with a Surefire dual pad, then I'm already not interested.
Oh,
the Raid X has got that fucking Ergocto bullshit. Oh my God. The fucking 4-button remote switch on the Raid. I really, really detest the Wilcox Raid XE so much. And the closer a laser is to the Wilcox, the more I hate it.
Let's close it out with the one that I think will probably get A tier. $800. It's got the performance of a MAWL with slightly worse ergonomics. It's got the performance of a DIR-V. It's got the exact same performance almost as an OGL civilian. It's tiny. It's lightweight. I think this is an A tier. I think if someone asked me what laser should I buy with no, like, because, people are like, hey, Brass Facts, what should I buy? Hey, Brass Facts, I need a bag, period. And there's no qualifiers. Hey, Brass Facts, I need a laser, period. I think this is just a general solid laser, no questions asked.
It's probably true. If it so desperately needs a diffuser.
I think it desperately needs a better range on the slider, more so than it needs the diffuser.
I would
the
much
diffuser
rather
takes the same amount of
edit
time
this.
the diffuser takes the same amount of time to flick than the slider. The issue is the slider is set wrong. That is its only Achilles heel, I think. But it
constantly irritates me about Chinese lasers. The Laserspeed, the SMS, the Holosun, their maximum flood mode is already a little too narrow, and then they can get narrower. And it's like, what? You didn't use this because you're in China. You don't have guns or night vision. So you're just sort of guessing, right? So that is the issue that I have. The SMS has the flip over diffuser, and that mitigates the issue with the Illuminator focus settings. The Holosun has 5 settings, 1 to 5 degrees. 5 degrees is the only really usable setting to me. And that's annoying because there's some stuff you're giving up with a Holosun to get that switch that you won't ever use because it's useless.
I would disagree because I think you're a little biased in the sense that you don't get to shoot to 200 yards, 300 yards with your lasers. So everyone agrees the 1 degree, the 2 degree on the IRIS is fucking ridiculous. It's too narrow. You can't even.
So like, check out this fucking this awesome slider, this awesome quick access slider, 5 positions. All right, well, 2 of them are straight.
You generally
one
just
of them is almost always useless.
Yeah.
You've got 2 positions.
We're just arguing.
Why did you need a slider then? Why did you need a slider to go between 4 and 5 degrees? Couldn't you have just done 4 degrees in a diffuser, right? Okay, so I still think it's A. I think you're right that it is A tier because overall package size, the weight,
price,
the cost, the performance, like all that stuff is absolutely A tier. It's just that there's still some stuff about this.
It could have been perfect. It so easily could have been perfect.
The best performance, still not here. This does not perform the best. And it so easily could. There's no reason it couldn't perform the best. They just chose to make it not be that way, which is like, what the fuck? Why are you doing this to me? All they had to do was literally ask one person. They could have just asked one guy and been like, what do you think about this? And that one guy would have been like, yeah, that doesn't make any sense. And they would have fixed it. They didn't. Why not? It's weird. I don't know. And unfortunately, with all of those complaints, we still have to be like, and yet it's still A tier because everything else is more compromised or has worse flaws.
Fuck it. Brass facts from the future. Please wrap this one up. Thank you. Okay. Goodbye. Any closing thoughts?
No, not really. Do you get the whole pile or is there still something in there?
No, I think that's the pile, right? Is there something? Yeah, no, we got it.
Sort your pile. Make sure.
If I like don't touch her for 2 or 3 seconds, she's like, come on, where are the pets? What about you, Hop? Where are the pets?
Crackhead girlfriend.
Pick up her, like, paw. Just let go of it.
Oh man, she's not like other dogs. Other dogs don't like it when you touch the little pads.
You can play with her. Pretend she's a pig and you're tying up as a spit.
Jump, jump.
Oh. Didn't like the armpit.
She didn't like right here? No, okay. Oh, I'm sorry, girl.
She's very dramatic.
I'm sorry. You're okay.
That was a very lazy yip too. She wasn't actually in pain. She was just being dramatic.
Can we change direction? She's so compliant.
She just wants more belly rubs.